We'll call the meeting to order at 5:32. First item would be flag salute. Georgiana, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Report out of closed session. I'll let you do that.
We had a leave that we extended for an employee. We talked about some personnel issues. Any other main topics?
Was the leave approved?
Yes, the leave was approved. We talked about personnel issues and hirings. And so,
Okay.
clear?
The next item is organizational meeting. We're down Cynthia tonight. She's has an excused absence. She's taking care of her mother who's in Arizona. She'll be back next week. And I propose that we put this organizational meeting off until we have full board. We'll have a board meeting next Wednesday. Is that right? 14th.
The 14th.
Does anyone have any objection to that?
Do we need to make a motion or action item at that? Or?
Yeah, let's just do it by motion.
I would document the fact that you're doing that.
I would make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, any public comment? Paul?
Will there still be public input on that?
On what?
Your decisions about or suggestions towards making who what?
Well, yeah, every action item has.
No, I know it does. I just, since you're postponing it, I just know that some people were interested in coming and the weather delayed that. So to tell them that next week there will be the topic will be up for discussion is a good idea, right?
Well, do you want to make a comment now? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it'll be on the agenda for next board meeting.
Good. Oh, okay. No, my comments can wait till next week too.
Okay, all right, fine.
Thanks.
So we have a motion, a second, public comment. Any further comment? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next item is public comments for items not on the agenda. Have any public comments?
Yes. Hi, I am Jennifer Nunez-Ford. I am a teacher at Brookside Elementary in 2nd grade. Mrs. Harris came to my 2nd grade class a few weeks ago to explain the role of a board member and the importance of a board of education. She also brought little Thanksgiving presents and a party to my classroom. And so my kids wanted to return the paper and not only send thank you cards, but a thank you present of a little book.
Any cupcakes?
No, I'm sorry. And we do healthy snacks. But thank you very much, Mrs. Harris.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good work, Lori. All right,
Well done.
so the next item is, any other public comments?
Yeah, actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my name is Lisa May, and I'm a teacher at Gloucester.
Could you come up to the podium?
I certainly can.
You're not cold, are you?
Not now. Man. Several of us teachers at Gloucester put in requests for the Willits Education Foundation to get Chromebooks for our classroom, since we hadn't heard that there was a plan for that for Gloucester. And then it has come to my attention that Mr. Westerberger went to that meeting and said that those Chromebooks would be district expenses, and so they were denied by the Willits Education Foundation. And I just wanted to know if there was a plan for supplying those Chromebooks for the Gloucester Lane classrooms.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you didn't come and see me and ask me, but the reality is they had to cut some things. They didn't have enough money to fund all their requests. They weren't even close to able to fund all their requests.
But is there a plan for?
I'll get to it.
Okay.
Okay. They didn't have enough money to fund their request.
Mm-hmm.
And so the plan for technology is not to intermittently toss a couple Chromebooks here and there in rooms. It's to take care of entire buildings. Just like we've been taking care of Bechtel right now, your building also has, we're preparing to make sure we have 120 machines that are operational so we can do our standardized testing coming up, which is gonna include some Chromebooks and carts to make that happen. And they've been over and fixed up the lab that was down. And so, yeah, there's a plan to get your building up and running, and I know your principal knows that. I mean, she was at the meeting. And so, the first goal is to make sure that when we have standardized testing that's online, every building has enough machines active to do that.
Absolutely.
And so we have that in Bechtel, we have that now in the high school, obviously, 1-to-1. At Blosser, we don't have to do that at Brookside because they don't do the standardized testing. But we have a plan with technology that your principal's very aware of that's gonna make sure you have Chromes or a book like Chromebooks. Without getting too techy, we're gonna take old laptops and reformat them into Chromebooks.
Okay.
Because Chrome OS is pretty easy to use.
Yes.
And it runs nicely on those old laptops. So we're in the process of making your building have 120 machines that are all active.
Okay.
So if they can be active for that, they can also be active in your classroom.
Okay.
But taking them sporadically to rooms wasn't an option, especially from the educational foundation, because that's kind of a one-time use the money and it's done. It's not part of the program. And they didn't have near enough money to fund all the requests. And for them, technology is really not what they do. They fund other stuff that is more teacher-centered instead of technology. And so, yeah, I attended the meeting and I said, you know, we have a plan for technology. Let's make sure the teachers get all these unique stuff they really need.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Mhm.
If I could just make one more comment about the lab model, and I just want to make aware to the board members as well as you, Mr. Westerberg, and that is that lab model is very outdated. I like to compare it to a paper lab. Like, okay, we're going to go to the paper lab for a half an hour a week, because that's what computers are. I mean, that's my paper in my life is my computer. I always go to my computer. So for us to have a paper lab for students to go to for a short amount of time every week isn't really feasible as far as getting technology into their hands and making them comfortable with technology, so that when they do take the standardized test, that, you know, they know they're comfortable with the process.
Well, there's only one lab.
Right.
The
But
other
I'm just-
three are gonna be carts
Okay.
that can be moved around.
Okay.
Yeah, you already have a lab. I'm not gonna dismantle the lab.
Right.
So we're gonna repair the lab and have 3 carts.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
How about
you.
the internet connection at Blosser? Was that already upgraded? I know there was a lot of work done here over the summer, but
They've been going
What's the-
around replacing them out as we go.
Okay.
The high school was first. You have to do it by users.
Right.
The volume of users at the high school, even though there's 400 plus here a day, you have to remember that somebody holding their iPhone is also on the user as well. So that 400 number is really 800. And so we had to beef this up here. Blosser's already had the capacity to run what they need to run. They'll never have more than 150 or so devices active at one time.
Okay.
So they can do that. The problem is getting them devices, because it's this pass-down effect that's not working. And running out and buying a bunch of Chromebooks, if we went and bought all new Chromebooks this year for everybody, the problem is 4 years from now, we gotta go do that again. So we have to have a sequence of every year introducing, just like buying buses. You don't buy all brand new buses in 1 year because they're all wear out at the same year. So we have a process in place to do that. The plan is to use the existing technology we have now, from going 1-to-1 at the high school, to get us operational, and at the end of the year, we're budgeting every year to buy a set of Chromebooks. So we'll eventually be in a situation where 6-8 we're 1-to-1, and in 3-5 we have ample carts and things for classrooms. K1-2 is usually iPads. That's the best scenario there.
We're looking at basically a 3-4 year implementation process.
About 3. Yeah, 3 ought to get us there. barring any lotto money or anything, it's about a 3-year window. But, yeah, we have to have a plan. We can't just, whoever requests randomly put some computers in their room. That's what's been going on, and that's why we don't have a systemic plan in place.
Can I just respond to that? I think teachers have been doing that just so that we can get more technology
Oh,
in
yeah.
our students' hands.
Yeah, I'm
'Cause
not.
I did that.
I know everybody wants them. It's just being able to provide them in a systematic fashion, so we don't, we're not stuck holding 800 Chromebooks we have to replace in a year. So.
Okay, any other, Paul?
Mine is just a question. I recently heard that the district, well, to back up, I was here when the district decided to pay for sports and things like that, which everyone I've spoken to really thinks that's a quality and a good idea. On their behalf, sort of, thank you. The other part, however, is that I recently heard that most field trips will also be covered through district funds, and I'm just wondering if that's the case, is it gonna be like the standard 2 per grade or whatever will continue to be reimbursed or paid for by the district, and then any extras?
Let me make sure I clarify field trip.
Oh,
You're
okay.
talking about the transportation of a field trip.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is generally a district expense unless it's something, I mean, if you're going somewhere crazy that's gonna cost a fortune, you have to realize that with bus drivers, we have some limited parameters. The driver can't be on the road for 15 hours. And so there are field trips that are within our driving distance.
Right.
And if they're approved field trips by the principal, should be covered under district expense.
And in addition to that, that field trips need to be approved prior to, at least a couple of weeks in advance of the field trip
Right.
by fiscal services, because we are paying for them, so.
Right.
Okay, I'm thinking I'm clear, I just need a
Yeah.
little more. Like last year, for example, 2nd grade had a couple of standard field trips, okay? And so the district paid the bus to take them to where they went and back, okay?
Yep.
So then what it now sounds like is, and any other field trips, like maybe into Ukiah for the Nutcracker or whatever and back, it's too bad. If you didn't have enough money in your own pocket or did a fundraiser or do whatever, you're out of luck. So sort of what I'm asking, I mean, and Spelathon and things like that can cover them, there were avenues.
Right.
But, so what I'm kinda asking is, let's say that it's no longer gonna be just, or are you sort of saying that it's no longer gonna be 2nd grade, just Emmendall and just, I don't even remember the second one, but whatever it was. And now it could probably also include like the Nutcracker or something that's happening within a 30-40 mile radius.
Well, what really needs to happen is they need to
Submit.
sit down and put a calendar together.
Oh,
And we need to make sure that one grade level doesn't take 15 field trips because the teachers are really active and wanna go do that, and the other grade gets none.
yeah.
So that's where the building principal comes in and says, okay, 2nd grade, you're gonna do a couple. 1st grade's gonna do a couple. It's more of share the wealth than who gets it in first. But if it's within normal district travel,
Yeah,
that is a district expense.
okay.
And Sherwood went to Ukiah today.
Mhm.
Okay? That was right during the school day, and they went back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it's intended to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we certainly can't say we're gonna bus athletics but not bus our kids for academic field trips. But, again, that's within reason.
Well, in the past, you always had to say how it tied up to your curriculum anyway, so I don't guess anyone's just gonna go to the park for fun, but
Yeah.
That's a real good thing if that's the direction.
Yeah, yeah, and we're trying to keep that in check. That's not a card for everybody to run out and go do 40 field trips, because they should be academically focused, and they should be things that are of value.
Okay, thanks.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to information. The first is Willits High School presentations, student board member.
Should we get our technology rolling? You're on the big screen now.
That's not it. Apologize for that. I'm in the wrong thing right now.
While he pulls that up, let me ask a field trip question.
Mhm.
Is there any specific reason why 90% of the field trips are in like the last 2 weeks of school? It just seems like they're not very well spread out throughout the year.
That's another issue that we had this conversation actually today with transportation, because we only have limited number of drivers. And for example, I went to the basketball game last night in Roseland. Well, the driver took the team down there, but we didn't get home till late. Well, she can't do her morning run because there's a time window of
8 hours off duty.
you can't be in the bus in 8 hours. And so she couldn't do her morning run, so we have to cover her morning run to do that. And so we have to be cognizant of how many drivers we have. Now, if we get a few more drivers, it would be helpful, but they really need to focus field trips on that 3 weeks between fall and winter athletics and the 3 weeks between winter and spring. Because remember, in the spring, baseball, softball, track, all kinds of stuff's going. And that's why we need to have a master calendar of the district, because we're finding now, even in athletics, that the coaches ran off and scheduled stuff, but we have multiple things going out on the same day. And this is kind of a new thing for us, it's actually having buses, so we also have to get into the scheduling time frame to make it work. But you're absolutely correct, the bulk of the trips, you know, the teachers use as a kind of a reward thing at the end of the year, and unfortunately they get spilled into the end of the year where academically they could be somewhere else. So that's something that I want my principals to help do with the teachers. And I have some ideas for them without elaborating, but that tie to their curriculum.
Okay. Yeah, it just seemed like, I mean, at the end of the year, there were scheduled field trips on my kids' schedule that all of a sudden they couldn't go to because they didn't have buses. It seemed like every third day they needed chaperone for something, and I think it just.
Right.
Paul?
I agree.
Excuse me, but just, I finally remembered where else they went in the second grade, but not only that, you know, part of it is like Annabelle doesn't allow you to come until April or May. And we went to the Steelhead fishery place, you know, and they only do their stuff at a certain month. Most of it does sort of happen at the end of the year, so,
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to the pumpkin thing now, or last month, but most of them, it's not always, we'd rather have them spaced out, then we don't have issues with getting parents, or every other day when we're not doing academics, it's sort of the people we go to see.
Right. We're just gonna have to do a better
Well,
job
yeah.
of planning.
Well, and this is new, and that's why it's good.
I don't want to eat into D'Artagnan's time, but you know, I had a.
Just the other issue with those field trips is that there's a window for the testing. And so usually a lot of the field trips happen after the testing window.
Right.
And that's only a few weeks at the end of the year. So.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all.
It's all yours.
All yours.
I like the
D'Artagnan.
font, like the color, nice.
Great.
I talked to my teacher about it, and we decided to keep it kind of short, so it mostly covers sports and recent events, leaving some out. Wrestling just had novice last Saturday. I wasn't able to attend, but that's okay. It was in Point Arena. I heard we did really good as a team, so that's good. Our team's pretty strong this year. We have a tournament this Saturday in McKinleyville. We're leaving Friday morning to go tour Humboldt, and then stay until the Saturday tournament in McKinleyville. So looking forward to that.
Can I interject something
Yes.
there? That's a perfect example of travel. It's so far up to McKinleyville, we're going to bus them up there, and they're gonna take a van with them. And so Mike will transport kids in the van. The bus is gonna take them up and leave them and come back. And then go back, another bus will go back up Saturday evening to get them. Because the driver would be part owner in the bus by the time they got back after a 3-day run. So that's just too long. So we're trying to figure out how to accommodate this stuff as we go.
Boys basketball, JV has a tournament this weekend and varsity has a tournament that's in Healdsburg. Sorry for the lack of info on that. I'm not in basketball, so.
I can tell you how they did, but you can keep going.
Okay. Girls basketball, they have a tournament in Sebastopol and varsity is in Healdsburg. Hot Winners Nights tomorrow. All the times I've went, it's been really great. There's a lot of art. The hallway is decorated right now, I'm pretty sure. They usually have like people walk around with like trays of dessert. A lot of parents usually attend, which I think is pretty cool. Gets them more involved in the school and what the students are doing.
6:30 to 8:30 free.
That's right, 6:30 to 8:30 free, and all our fine arts are on display.
Teacher felt like adding the Spirit Week thing. On Monday, I'm gonna wear holiday PJs. Tuesday, it's deck your neck. Didn't come up with that. Wednesday, class designation day. Thursday is holiday hats and socks, and Friday is ugly holiday sweater. I think that's the last slide. I wanted to add, I think the Chromebook implementation is going pretty smoothly. I think the climax was during distribution day. There was a lot of build up to that, and then it's kind of just been going pretty smooth since then. I haven't heard a lot of complaints or anything like that.
Is that a Chromebook?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, had you ever done a PowerPoint
Yeah,
presentation
not
before?
specifically on this, but using Google Chrome, yeah.
I keep waiting for somebody to walk outside in the rain and not be under a thing, because I see students walking all the time doing stuff on it when it's raining and stuff, and they stay underneath the stuff.
Did you get your own cover, or did the covers come
Nope.
with it?
Oh no, yeah, those come off the.
Oh.
There's a hard cover that it snaps into, and you just flip it open and it stays on it all the time.
Well, thank you, Judge.
Yeah.